those who work. May their shelter of peace cover us and them and everyone. Take this soul, living in my skin and bones. Take this soul and let it sing. Yahweh, Yahweh, always pain before a child is born. Yahweh, Yahweh, it's always dark before the dawn. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu L'Shalom V'hamidenu Shomreinu L'chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu L'Shalom V'hamidenu Shomreinu L'chaim. Allow us to lie and to rise in peace with shalom. Allow us to lie and rise in peace. Shalom. Allow us to lie and rise in peace. Shalom. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu L'Shalom V'hamidenu Shomreinu L'chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu L'Shalom V'hamidenu Shomreinu L'chaim. Something that I'm learning slowly is that everything's going to be all right doesn't mean that everything's going to be perfect. It just means that everything's going to have to be all right. Everything's going 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 to be all right. Everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright. Ufros aleinu sukat, sukat shlomecha. Ufros aleinu sukat, shlomecha, and cover over us tonight with a sukat shalom. A shelter of peace for you, for those you love. A shelter of peace tonight. A shelter of peace this year for those who chop wood and those who draw water, for everyone who dwells on earth. May we feel and be protected and comforted by that shelter of peace. Amen.
I never quite believe it as much as when Rabbi Randy says that it's all going to be all right. There are these words, a line from the Psalms that the ancient rabbis put before we say the Amidah. It's the only part of the service that the Talmud calls prayer. Adonai sefatai tiftach, ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. It makes sense on its face why we would say these words as an introduction before prayer. But there's also something so subversive about these lines, because our tradition holds they were first uttered by King David after he had suffered an unthinkable loss, uttered in pain, uttered in anger, uttered in spite. God, he seems to be saying, if you want my prayer, you're going to have to do it yourself. It can be so hard to find hope in our world right now when we look out. But if there is any lesson that Jewish history, that Jewish tradition can offer us, it is how to respond to a world that can feel hopeless, how to act in a place where it can feel like compassion and justice and decency are slipping away. And so, before we begin our prayer, the first of this new year of 5782, first we cry out, perhaps in joy for the possibilities, perhaps in spite for the pain, perhaps a mixture of it all. Adonai sifetai tiftach, ufi yagid tehilatecha.
Ya la 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 Adonai. Ya la 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 sifetai tiftach. Ya la 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 ufi yagid. Ufi yagid tehilatecha. Ya na 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 Adonai. Ya la 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 sifetai tiftach. Ya la 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 ufi yagid. Ufi yagid tehilatecha. Ya la 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 Adonai. Ya la 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 sifetai tiftach. Ya la 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 ufi yagid. Ufi yagid tehilatecha. Ya la 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 Adonai. Ya la 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 sifetai tiftach. Ya la 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 ufi yagid. Ufi yagid tehilatecha. Ya la 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 Adonai. Ya la 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 sifetai tiftach. Ya la 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 ufi yagid. Ufi yagid tehilatecha.
Continue with the Amidah on page 18. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Leah v'Elohei Rachel Ha'el Hagadol Hagibur v'Hanora El Elyon Gomer chasadim tovim v'konei hakol v'zocher chasdei avot v'imahot u'mevi gula livnei v'neihem למען שמו באהבה מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה.
Adonai
Elohim Chaim,
Zochenu lechaim, Melech hafetz b'chaim. Zochenu lechaim, Melech hafetz b'chaim. וכתבנו בספר החיים, למענך אלוהים חיים, למענך אלוהים חיים.
Continue with the prayers of our heart, the meditations of our souls, as Alan and Andrew and Leslie sing Yehu L'Ratzon. As long as we're starting over, let me give you the cue again for Autumn. And so we continue with the words of our heart, the prayers of our soul, as Andrew, Leslie, and Alan sing Yehu L'Ratzon. Give it a second.
Sorry.
And so we continue on our own through page 26 with the prayers of our heart, the meditations of our soul, as Leslie, Alan, and Andrew sing Yehu L'Ratzon.
Well, I'm glad we were on a pause. That would have interrupted services for sure. Who is that?
Okay, we ready, Autumn? Okay, hold on. Give it a couple seconds. We continue on our own through page 20. And so we continue on our own through page 26 with the words of our hearts, the meditations of our souls, as Leslie, Alan, and Andrew sing Yehu L'Ratzon.
Thunder shalom bimromav uyaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru
This plea that we are about to say, Avinu Malkeinu Imenu Malketenu, our parent, our guardian, our safeguard, comes when we need it the most. It is these sacred and ancient words that we return to year after year, this haunting formula that reminds us of the capriciousness of our world, that there is so much outside of our control, so much we have no say over. And so we call out to something greater than ourselves for comfort, the image of a parent, a caregiver, of the gates opening, a time when we can start over, a time when the cycle resets. This year, as we once again say these words, we ask for nourishment, for guidance, for support, and for love, no matter what comes our way in 5782.
Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Koleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chatanu lefanecha. Avinu Malkeinu, Chamol aleinu.
Avinu Malkeinu, Be'erev v'ra'av, me'aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, k'alei kol tzar u'mastin me'aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Malkeinu, V'adej aleinu, Shana Tova. Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Koleinu.
Last few days, I've been seeing people from CRC, and they tell me, we're going to see you on the screen on Monday night. And I tell each and every one of them, well, I'll blow you a kiss. So I knew it was time to give up my hobby of making physical scrapbooks when my kids started arguing over who wasn't going to have to keep them when the time comes. But then the pandemic arrived, and I figured I was well positioned to chronicle this once-in-a-lifetime event by continuing for a bit longer. After all, it was only going to last a couple of months, right? So now, a year and a half later, I have, through pictures, clippings, and documents, a record of personal, of family, of societal moments as COVID has raged and shaken all of us from one new normal to another, including CRC moments, of course. A quick flip through the pages of my albums for these congregational moments revealed dozens of artifacts and photos of the phone calls we made to check in with every synagogue member in those first weeks of quarantine, filled with uncertainty and dread. The crew that formed to do drive-by oneg celebrations in front of the homes of families after their online bar and bat mitzvahs so they could counter the remoteness of it all. Correspondence with the first member to encounter a serious bout with COVID as they waited for care in the emergency room. They pulled through, thank goodness. Our effort with Northside churches to deliver groceries to at-risk families, interrupting virtual Rosh Hashanah services 1 year ago with our response to the death of Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg of blessed memory. Posting powerful Voices of Black Jews videos made by our members. Dozens and dozens of cars rolling into our parking lot to drop off winter coats for homeless shelters. Online ukulele lessons, online Hebrew school, online Psalms, and a second online congregational Seder. Our Mitzvah Farm crew, continuing throughout the entire pandemic its integral mission of growing fresh produce to help bring nourishment to our food-insecure neighbors. Our first in-person service in over a year around the Lag BaOmer campfire, and much more. While I am surely gratified by all these ways that CRC, our community, is maintaining connection through this continuing public health crisis, I have no doubt that our sudden and unprecedented need to keep a distance from one another has still led to a fraying of our relationships to congregational life. The same way this pandemic has created a sad dissembling of how we relate to so many important people, communities, and institutions that are so important to us. So, as we slowly and in necessary fits and starts, hopefully begin to return to something resembling normalcy at the synagogue, I would like to attempt to reintroduce us in a way to CRC. A reintroduction for those who have been part of CRC for decades, and for those who've joined us since the lockdown in 2020, and who know us largely so far as a solely virtual congregation. The way I want to do this is to briefly enumerate what to me are CRC's North Star guiding principles, an evolving set of goals that started with the hearts and minds of Rabbi Susan and our founders, who in very recent memory set to create an alternative to existing synagogues, one without pretense and trappings, one that could touch us, inspire us, and make positive change in our lives and in the world. As befitting these days of awe and our acknowledgement that teshuvah is a process of transformation and growth, the language I want to use is that of striving who we hope to be at our best. We strive to be an egalitarian community, one that embraces anyone who wants to join us, whether one time, occasionally or all the time. People from a myriad of walks of life and economic circumstances, and we attempt to encounter each one of us on a soul level. Whoever we are, whatever our background, we are not judged, but instead equally respected and loved. We strive to be a synagogue that teaches that working for the common good is a clear Jewish value, and to get there, we must figure out wise and compassionate ways to level the playing field. We strive to be a congregation that is authentically Jewish, observing Jewish life with integrity and sincerity, while at the same time fully recognizing the validity and blessings of traditions other than Judaism, many of which are represented by CRC's many visitors, as well as by those who are our own members, friends, and allies who are themselves not Jewish. We strive to be an arena that is not phony, sanitized, or scripted, where if what is happening as we gather is sweet, we rejoice and praise, and if what is happening is awful, we mourn and comfort. And most often, both are happening. So we will rejoice and mourn at the same service with spontaneity, humor, and empathy. Above all, we are part of this community in order to serve one another. We strive to provide an environment that promotes inclusion, compassion, and healing to those who have been marginalized by religion's unfortunate tendency to ostracize and judge, including women, LGBTQIA individuals, people of color, immigrants, and any member of any vulnerable group who are drawn to our Sukkot Shalom, our shelter of peace. We were founded to be a pro-choice congregation, advocating for every woman's right to make their own decisions about their own bodies. We strive to be radically present and lovingly nurturing for our precious children, reminding ourselves that their education here must be about more than just the whats, hows, and whys of Judaism. Through the quick passage, and it is quick, from religious and Hebrew schools, bar and bat mitzvahs, and confirmation, we need to continually model for our young people the values of compassion, moral action to bring more justice and peace, kindness, hope, empathy, inclusion, and the sharing of resources. We strive to be an urban congregation in more than simply our city zip code, meaning that we will connect with our neighbors, cross the Delmar divide, and revel in diversity and cutting-edge thought, culture, and action. We strive to be a green congregation, taking measures to reduce our footprint on the earth and remaining mindful of all the ways we can reduce the damage to the holy and beautiful natural world that is trying, despite our resistance, to sustain life on this planet, which is our shared home. We strive to create ever-expanding opportunities to study, search, interpret, question, create, dialogue, and organize. And we want to always teach Torah through progressive, ethical, non-hierarchical, non-chauvinistic, and non-triumphalist lenses. That is who we strive to be, especially in these most challenging times. The scrapbook that is our tradition tells us that we built and then had to rebuild our only temple. And then, after the second one was destroyed, we started all over again with a decentralized system of intertwined but distinct communities all over the globe. We have been down before, but not once have we been out. Using our visions of what we are striving to be and the spirit of renewal that is the promise of Rosh Hashanah, I believe we can emerge from this extremely challenging time of separation to come together again, to carry on loving one another, taking care of each other, and closing the spaces between us. We can become an even better picture of ourselves, of our sacred CRC community, and even we can build a better version of the world. L'Shana Tova.
Thank you, Randy. It's a high bar. And so we come to the Elenu. Are we at the Elenu? I think we are. We're at the Elenu, which is perfect because you told us what we have to continue to take upon us, right? Elenu. And this particular Elenu, this melody. There was a time that this melody was used by Jews who had to hide their Jewishness. And they would sing this melody as a way, because it was used by the church as well. So it was used by Jews to connect. And so our dear Bonya said this melody had to be in every service to remind us again and again what it is we must take Elenu upon us.
Bonya and the great Elenu. When we come to Elenu, we are almost cooked. We have moved from the singular Shema Yisrael to the plural Elenu. It's on us. That's the loftiness of our Loshen Kodesh. We ought to be able to speak poetry with the simplest of language. Aleinu, it's on us. Bonya was among the freest and the most loyal to standards artists I have known. He was free in improvisation and unafraid to enter the space beyond comfort where creativity happens. He was also loyal to pure and rooted postures. This congregation commissioned him to create an entire repertoire for the Days of Awe, and he insisted during these holidays to bow to traditional forms. When we say, Va'anachnu korim umishtachavim umodim, it's literal, and he snatched back the older melody, created an arrangement expressing the old truths. Excuse me while I kiss the earth. Thankful, thus this melody, thus the Aleinu Hagadol, thus.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'Adon ha'kol l'teit gedula l'yotzer b'reishit shelo asanu k'goyei haratzot velo samanu k'mishbechot adama shelo sam chelkenu kahem v'goralenu kechol amonam va'anachnu korim umishtachavim modim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch
Jim also wrote these words. We are dreamers, people with a vision. We are people who have not allowed our dream of a more perfect time to be tainted or trampled by those who have threatened to take our dream away from us. That more perfect time we speak of is a picture of our own highest, inextinguishable imaginings. Can we imagine a completed time, a time of peace, of completedness? Yes, we do imagine it. That is always the point. On that day of our completed time, we recognize the relatedness of all things. All things are connected. Its name is one, and that one is God. On that day is our awakening. It is not the end of history, it's the very beginning. On that day, we begin the upward course to a more perfect time, ever arriving, always becoming, always becoming. As we near the end of the service, we know that these holy days leave a great space at our tables, in our pews, in our homes, in our hearts. We remember those who have died in this past year and those who have died in years past. This is a time we remember all of them. This is a time that people would start to give me little slips of paper to make sure I would have their loved one's name for the Yizkor service at the end of Yom Kippur Day. And because we'll be a little bit in person this year, I'll take those slips of paper when we come together. We'll make sure we have all of your names for our Yizkor service. There's a verse from the Song of Songs that we usually speak at weddings. Ani ledodi v'dodi li. It says, I am my beloved's and my beloved is mine. On one level, it's about love, but I think that it also teaches us that we belong to each other. And this belonging is what gives meaning to every breath, and this belonging is also what makes us so vulnerable that we break from our losses. And some, we break so much we can never be the same. For years, I've taught that the holiday cycle is meant to push us all year to be ready for this new year, to push us to be ready to be able to wish each other a sweet new year and mean it in spite of what we know can happen. Because the new year is all about renewed hope in a better future. Something new is drawn into the world that rebuilds our trust in ourselves, in others, and creation, as imperfect as it all is. Without awareness and without a practice, we could miss the very opportunity that will give our lives meaning, will help us move forward, and will bring healing to our bruised souls and broken hearts. We honor our beloveds with the Kaddish as it celebrates life and defies death. We remember each of them with every act of kindness. So I ask you, wherever you are, if you're able, to please stand with me. Please stand with us as we pray that the memory and perhaps even the presence of good people who have died this year and in years past will bless our days, and then we will say the prayer that holds us even when we dare not be held.
May the memory of good people bless our days. Bless it was, is it okay? I'm really sorry.
I think we can just, I hope. Can we just do the go right to the song?
Yeah.
I think we can, because there's a pause.
Sorry. May the memory of good people bless our days. Bless our days. Bless our days. Zecher, Zecher, Zecher Tzadik Livracha, Livracha. Zecher, Zecher Tzadik Livracha.
Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah. Ve'alma divrach yiruteh ve'amlich malchuteh. V'chayachon v'yomechon v'chayei l'chol Beit Yisrael. V'agala v'zman kariv ve'imru.
Amen.
Yehi shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam omei omaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yit hadar v'yitalei v'yitalal shmei dekudesha barichu. La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbachata v'nechamata. Za'amiran be'alma ve'imru mei.
Amen.
Yehi shlomo rabba min shemaya v'chayim. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru mei.
Amen.
Oseh shalom b'mrumav. Oya aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru. Amen. Before we leave everyone with a blessing, we're going to invite Alan to offer the festival Kiddush. So if you are at home or with friends, with family, we hope you'll lift a cup of life, a cup of blessing. What we say at the wedding is, this is the cup of life. The sweetness in life will be sweeter because we share it. The bitterness less painful because we have each other to walk through the world with. So take that cup of life in your hand and let's make space for joy.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol am v'romamanu mikol lashon v'kiddushanu b'mitzvotav. Vatiten lanu Adonai Eloheinu b'yahava et yom hazikaron hazeh yom Torah mikra kodesh zecher tziat Mitzrayim ki yavanu v'acharta v'yotanu kidashta mikol hamim udvarcha emet v'kayam lad. Baruch atah Adonai Mikadesh Yisrael v'yom hazikaron. L'chaim.
L'chaim. L'chaim. We should have had a l'chaim for everybody. So we'll invite everyone to come and join. Gratitude to Alan and Leslie, Andrew. Gratitude to the people who are streaming and making this happen. I hope you can feel the gates opening. We know that the gates of tshuva, the gates of transformation and change are always open, but there are other gates that we open at the new year. Gates of forgiveness, gates of justice, gates of rachamim, of compassion. And so I hope you can feel that we have together opened some of those gates so that a chidush, something new, can be drawn into the world for this new year. God knows we need it. So before we leave you with a blessing, I'm going to ask Alan to offer a shehechianu for something new.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh.
Thank you, God, for giving us life, for sustaining it, and bringing us to this moment in time that we dare to celebrate a new year, 5782, together. And we're going to offer a blessing for you to take into your hearts and your homes, to share with all the people whose lives you touch. Yevarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you and keep you safe and healthy. I want you to know that before we started this tonight, we all took a test. That's why we don't have masks.
We passed the test.
We passed the test. We're trying to be really safe. We believe in vaccinations. We believe in masks. We want to keep everybody safe so that we can get beyond this. So, Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka.
And may we be filled with light. May we be surrounded by light, the light from the natural world, the light that comes from each and every soul, and that divine light that keeps us on the path and fills us with warmth and goodness and love.
And most of all, may we have more peace somehow because of what we have done tonight and what we're going to do during these 10 days, during this year of 5782. Through tshuva, through tzedakah, through tefillah, may there be more peace in our lives, in our city, and in our world. And we say,
Amen.
Amen.
Shana Tova.
Shana Tova. With two
A
ka.
good and a sweet year.
Nicely done.
Nicely done, guys.
Who came to the door?
Someone wanted to use the bathroom.
Oh. I'm gonna take this little guy outside since he
And
joined
the
us.
spider will be on page
Oliver
37.
He was like up here.
yeah.
I was watching
up
you
here.
start, and he was making webs, and I was like,
I
"There's
know.
a spider in
yeah,
the
you can
living
see
room."
it. Look at that.
I know.
I
Yeah.
feel like that's a
I
nursery.
know.
Is that like
It
a
was,
fable?
it
It's
was,
like based
it
off
was
your-
on me for a
Oh,
while.
I would not have done
It was
well.
definitely on me for a while, and I just, I didn't want to, I didn't want to smash it by
Oh, I
accident.
would have been like, "Hang on."
It would have been
When Susan said we all passed the test, a number of years ago, she also said, we went to reform school. That's what she said. It's like, yeah. It's like, so reminded me of that.
Do you think